car, like super drunk, just like fucking around, saying like, "Oh yeah, I play. Like we should get together sometime." Um, and he was like probably one of the first people that I had met in Austin that kind of had similar music interests. And I don't know, we met up. What was it, like a week later or something, or 2 weeks
Yeah,
later?
it was like a week later. Like, so I had moved to Austin like 3 years ago, and I'd been looking for people to play with, and I found Jaakko, who's not able to make this call because he's in Finland right now because he's from Finland. But he plays drums, and we got connected, and I just kind of had him in like my phone, and I was like waiting to like kind of jam with him. But then I met Ben, and I was like, oh sweet, like the three of us can do something that'll be kind of fun. And yeah, it was probably like a week after me and Ben met, we scheduled a session to go and jam together. And Ben basically had like come in with a song that he had written, and we started like fleshing it out. And that song is Chili, which is one of our unreleased ones. But yeah, I think the name, like the Awesome Bass Wanderers thing, that kind of came about. Like we were really deciding on what the band name should be, and like we're all coming from different places. Like so, as you can tell, I'm grew up in Minnesota, but like I was born in India. I moved around a lot in the States, and then I settled in Minnesota. I grew up there. Miller, your family's in like Arkansas and stuff like that, but you came down from Dallas. Is that right?
Yeah, from Dallas.
And then Matt is our Cajun boy from New Orleans. And so, we're all just kind of come from different places, and it was hard to find like the commonality to like select like the band name about, but we're all like no strangers to movement and like traveling around and stuff like that. Especially Jaakko. I think he's lived in like 10 plus countries and like he's had an interesting life, that's for sure. So he's a true nomad of the group. And so that's kind of where it like came about, is like, like sure we have like a particular style as well, but like we kind of like pick up on different genres and influences based on like places that we've lived. And so for me personally, that's a lot of like the melancholy indie rock that you find in the cold Midwest. So just a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah. All right, so I see you guys are a relatively new band. Haven't been around for like less than a year, I see. Am I correct in that?
It's been a little over. I was just thinking about that the other day. I think we're approaching a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. But our first show wasn't until last October, so it depends when you define it. Like we started kind of calling ourselves a band probably like a year and a half ago, like you said then.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of went by when I saw like I went back a little bit to see like social media posts and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like, am I correct? Like you've just released singles so far, no full albums?
That's right.
Yeah, just singles.
Is there any reason in particular you guys chose that strategy rather than going with like an EP first or a full album or anything like that?
Yeah, I think especially like as a starting band, you don't want to like release an album before you have like a large enough audience to consume it, because it feels kind of like a creative dump almost, like to me, like like you release 10 songs and then none of them really have the chance to become bigger than the other because it's just too much content when you're not a huge band yet. So I think financially for us it makes more sense to record songs like one at a time or like two at a time and then release them steadily. Plus I also think that that's kind of the way the music industry is going right now. Like in the Spotify era, there's a lot more singles than there are full records, I think.
Right. And it also helps to figure out what sticks, right? So there might be a song that we really love as a band, but it might be skewed because it's fun to play for us versus something that maybe is a little bit less fun, but audience really loves it. So by being able to just throw out different singles that are kind of, mixing around a little bit on the spectrum of the genre, you sort of figure out what people are clicking with, and then you can tap into that sort of sound a little bit more.
I saw you guys actually made it onto a playlist already, the Frequency playlist. So has that had like a significant impact on your fan base and like your exposure?
That one, not a whole lot. Recently, we've been sort of collabing with this like creative collective called Ancient Citrus that's based in Austin, and they're doing a lot to create like Austin-based playlists of like up and coming Austin artists, established artists, and like by genre, they're like really putting the spotlight on Austin artists. And we've been put on a couple of their playlists, Sounds of Austin and like Texas Troubadours, and so we've been getting a decent amount of steady streams from that. The frequency one was, I mean, it's obviously great to make it onto a playlist, but they're not they're not exactly the type of sound. The other artists on that are not exactly the type of sound that we are, and so it was hard to find the stickiness with the audience.
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit about the music you guys have putting out? Like tell me a little bit about like Motion Sickness. That's your latest single, correct?
Yeah.
So like where did that come from? How did you guys like decide on that one? And kind of what inspired that?
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote that song a long time ago. I think it was freshman year of college. So that for me was 2014. So almost 6 years ago. Yeah, I felt like I was kind of like in a major that I didn't really like at the time. And there were a couple other factors in my life just in general. I felt like I wasn't really in control of like my life at the time, which I don't feel like that anymore, but I still like draw upon that every now and then. But yeah, the song's just basically, I mean, lyrically, the song is just like about kind of being stuck in this like perpetual motion forward and not really feeling like you have the control there to change things. So that's what it means for me. That's like the origin story of that song. But yeah, I can't remember when we started playing it, but it was one of those like every now and then as a band, like you have a song that just comes together like so quickly and it just feels right. A lot of times songs take, a session or two or three to really nail down, but this one I felt like we had basically written the structure with every instrument and everything like within 20 minutes. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, definitely. I also felt like this was one of those songs that was just genuinely a blast for all of us to play. I mean, it's got everything in it. It's got your acoustic guitar, we got vocals, we got some heavy synth action in it, which was exciting for me. That was kind of the first time I'd been allowed to kind of do what I want with that, which has been awesome. And it's just kind of a jam. It's a jam kind of song. So we just had a blast with it when we were spending those the first few months before we were putting out music, and we were just practicing as a group and, a few rehearsal spaces. We would just jam out on that song. And I think it was, I don't know, I think that one's pretty special to me, just as far as really kind of figuring out our vibe as a band, for sure.
That one's also a lot of fun to play live. I think we can all agree to that one. But yeah, I agreed. Like it came together really quickly. Like we didn't overthink any of the parts. Like the song was there. Like Ben in his writing had basically written out the skeleton of it, and then the rest just came in to fill in the colors. And it was very organic and natural.
Nice. So you mentioned that it was like basically about like kind of being stuck, which kind of ties into like where we're at now, like as a world. So how have you guys managed to stay like productive and like inspired during COVID? It's pretty much been like half of your existence at this point, or a significant part of it, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna. It's been tough. Like, from obviously there's a lot of artists and like almost every single musician suffered from like the lockdown and everything. But for us, it kind of seemed like we had a few shows. We had a show during like unofficial South by Southwest. Another show that we were invited back to play at, and so it seemed like we were starting to pick up like some momentum, and that kind of shut down. but like, you know, we just tried to figure out the, you know, what we could still do like creatively while also starting to get going on some of the stuff that maybe we hadn't been spending some time on, like making sure our socials were like kind of, you know, up to par with some of our peers, and like making sure that we're staying active on it, building out like YouTube channel, stuff like that. But that stops being fun after a while.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, like if you're just kind of solely thinking business, so you kind of lose touch of what like made you start the band in the first place. So yeah, I mean, like I think we try and stay in touch as much as possible, like over calls, but that also starts being kind of tough. And so what we've been dabbling with recently is, you know, we started recording like acoustic versions of our songs just individually. So, you know, Jaakko was able to get into a studio in Finland, and Ben sent over a scratch track of one of our unreleased songs, and he basically just took a cajon and started like playing along to it and recorded a drum track to it. Then, you know, what's coming up next is we're all going to go in and play, you know, a stripped down version of our parts and just layer it over each other in like Ableton or something, and pair it up with like a video and release that. So just getting creative digitally, while also trying to make sure that we're staying in touch and writing as much as possible. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better now because we're kind of like have some plans in motion. I think at the very beginning, it was just, I mean, in general, like I know like everyone says this all the time, but it was just a very weird time, and we didn't really know how to go about anything. So I don't know, like personally, like I didn't write anything for like the first 2 months because like nothing was happening, you know? So it's like, how can you write on experience when your experience is like staring at like the wall all day, you know? But yeah, I think it's gotten better, and we've been able to start doing some, you know, socially distant, you know, band meetings and practices and stuff like that. So that's been fun to kind of get back into that.
Yeah, we did a what was it in? Was it the month of June when we did the rehearsals? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we all got together, and we just decided we were sick of sitting at home and not doing anything. And so we worked out a deal with an awesome rehearsal space here in Austin to get a full month, 2 days a week of rehearsal space in, and it didn't quite work out as well as we planned. I think we had 2 different coronavirus scares during that time. And so I think it just made us realize how difficult it was going to be to make everything work the way that we wanted to with coronavirus going on. And that's eventually what ended up leading our drummer Jaakko to fly back to Finland. I think everything going on, we were just spending so much time at home, and he wanted to go see his family. So he flew back, and just in the past few weeks, we've kind of been re-inspired with some help from some friends of ours and a music consultant we worked with, just to really start doing some individual recordings on our own. Like Ben said, Jaakko is doing some cajon recordings in Finland. We're going to start piecing some stuff together. So I feel like we kind of caught our second wind here in coronavirus times, but it definitely was hard hitting at the beginning for us.
That makes sense. So you were talking about some shows that kind of got like put on the back burner. I saw one of them was you had a show in April about the Austin supporting the Austin Music Foundation. Can you tell the world a little bit about the foundation and what they're all about and what they do?
Yeah, so Austin Music Foundation, or AMF, like they're one of the bigger Austin-based charities here that's focused on providing grants, resources, like mentoring to up-and-coming musicians in the Austin area. So they do a lot of great things. Like, you know, you can obviously go and apply to be like one of the AMF bands, and you can, you know, be one of the recipients of their grants, which will help you, you know, help fund some of the things you do musically. But also they provide, you know, like free music consultations. So like we just did one of those recently, as Miller mentioned, and like basically just set up some time with someone that's been in the industry for a while, and you just chat out your strategy and what you're doing, and they kind of help you think some things through. So yeah, they're a pretty cool organization, and they had like a benefit night, and we were supposed to play with a few different bands. And we were lucky to be invited back. I mean, we had just played a show with at Stubbs in January, and had fortunately done well in terms of the ticket sales and stuff like that, that they were kind enough to invite us back. But, obviously that kind of went out the window, but I think it's still a good, endorsement of the direction we were heading and sort of still are heading.
Yeah, like you said, like one of your shows already sold out, it looked like, and doing South by Southwest. So obviously Austin's been really good to you guys. Have you had a chance to branch out any, or like play some other places that have been receptive to you?
Not really. I mean, I think, we probably would have looked into that. Actually, in our, music consult that we did, he basically mentioned that think beyond Austin. Austin it has been good to us, exactly as you said, but it is a pretty saturated market in terms of there's so many, musicians here, and a lot of competition in that department. And so, I think in the future, when things sort of open back up, what we will consider is, let's rent a van for a weekend. Let's try and book some shows in like Dallas, surrounding major cities, and, do that for 3-4 days and come back. It doesn't have to be any like major sort of tour, but just start like branching out a little bit.
Sounds like a good plan. So there are a couple more kind of singles that caught my ear. So like Save Face and What You're Made Of, in particular. There's a line in What You're Made Of that's like, it's not about who wins the race, it's all about the ones who show up. So I got like this sense that those songs were like kind of about like, I'm not sure like faking it is the right word, but maybe like finding yourself, or like finding something. Am I getting the right sense about those, or is there something that I'm missing?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Safe Face is a little more about like artificiality, for sure. I think What You're Made Of is more about just, I don't know, for me it was like about being more honest about what I'm not accomplishing and why I'm not, kind of addressing the things that hold you back. I think it's really easy to come up with like a lot of excuses for why you're not doing things. And when you really kind of look at it, look at those things that are holding you back, like how easy it is to overcome those things. We all have, things that keep us from doing things, and sometimes they're like very serious, but then there's also a lot of things that, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of a specific example. But yeah, I don't know. Long story short, yeah, you're pretty on the money there for sure.
Cool. All right, so I have a question specifically for Miller. As a former Boy Scout, I am curious, are you really an Eagle Scout?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm also an Eagle Scout, so we got two in the band. We're well
really
represented.
Wow. I think this is the first time I've ever seen like two Eagle Scouts in the same room that wasn't like that ceremony to get it. I definitely did not go that far in Boy Scouts. My attentions got turned other. I think like the highest I made it was like almost second class. I didn't do very well at all.
Yeah, honestly, I'm amazed that I made it all the way through, but we got so much. I got a lot done early on, like in middle school, before you're worried about being cool and all that. So
right.
Helped.
I was the opposite. I got like halfway through it, and then kind of totally lost interest. And my parents told me, "You're not getting your driver's license until you finish this thing." And so I finished it in like 6 months after that. I just got that shit done. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
Pure threats. That's funny. Was like your dad an Eagle Scout or something? Like, why was it so important to them?
Not at all. He wasn't involved with it at all. I don't know. It's just I guess it was a big thing in Dallas, where I was from, and I don't know.
Was it like a commitment thing? Like they were like, you have to honor your commitment or something?
Yeah, a little bit, but like that's not really how my parents are, so I don't really know. But I'm glad that they did that. It definitely helped me out in the long run for sure, especially with getting into college, and that's really one of the main reasons I'm in Austin. So uh, I'm thankful
All
for
right.
sure.
Everything happens for a
Yeah.
reason. Um. So like, what's the future hold for you guys? What are your plans like during Corona, post Corona? Are you doing any like live streams? I think I saw that you guys did one live stream already on YouTube. Is there any more of that happening for you guys?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think we're gonna try to lean into this idea of, doing what we can with like homemade demos or with like stripped down versions of songs, like whatever it might be, and like kind of just put together. It doesn't have to necessarily be a live stream, but it can have a live feel to it because we're doing it like a different way than we would in like a studio. So I think that's what we're trying to do. I think really in the short term, the focus is to kind of re-find our connection to like the music and what made it fun. I think we sort of like, we're struggling to keep that in like the early stages of like lockdown and not being able to practice once or twice a week as we were. And so, working on like projects together musically, like whether it's just, just like sending each other stuff on Ableton or, getting together in a space and starting to write more, probably do that. And then I think long term, the idea is to go back and, at least, we've sort of considered it. It's not really set in stone, is to go back into the studio and, maybe write like 2-3 songs either as an EP or as just to release as continued singles. We're also toying with the idea of like, let's release a bunch of singles and we'll just group it together at the end as an EP too. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? We're still sort of figuring it out. Like we just met up like 2 days ago in the park just to, chat through ideas and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all on the same page with it. I would love to get back to playing live because that's arguably like my favorite part of this whole operation. But it's just not a reality. I see some like shows happening. I don't know, like people like out, like I don't know, at restaurants or whatever. I just don't like feel like we're there yet. I don't know.
I don't know if our music is like restaurant ambiance anyways. So.
Yeah. well, yeah, that's just it too. It's just like, I don't want to be the distraction or like the background to someone while they're eating a burger or having a conversation,
Right. I mean, like further, like that was an example, but like further than that, like there are like shows happening,
Yeah.
I think, and some people are getting creative with it. Like I've heard of like some like drive-in shows happening. I don't like that. I haven't heard of any happening specifically here, but I've heard of it happening. Which that sounds kind of okay. I think like, I don't know. I just don't think it's time yet, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Is there anything else you want the world to know about Highrise Nomad? Like anything that you guys were hoping to talk about?
Putting us on the spot here, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's broad.
What did you say?
Is that putting us on the spot here, Dwayne?
Yeah. I'm a Pisces. So
I'm a Leo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like at the end of the day, like we're still very, very serious about like our music and about writing and all that. And we're just gonna have to get creative here with finding one, like, ways to reach new audiences. It's like more in a digital way and less of a, organic way. It's just playing shows live. But the other thing that we're going to look to like find is like somehow, get that. I mean, personally speaking, like one of the reasons that we kind of go and play live shows is to get that like validation, and just be like figure out what people like and what people are receptive to and all that. And we're just gonna have to get creative with finding that in a more digital medium. I think I've looked into like what other bands are doing, and one of my personal inspirations as of recent has been Glass Animals. They've been doing a lot of cool stuff, and they're continuing to release music throughout quarantine and continuing to do all this sort of stuff. So just kind of taking a look at all that. Like, we have stuff that we want to do, and we're going to take a little bit more time. I think initially our goal was speed, keep momentum going, but I think we've all become comfortable slowing down and not let, streaming numbers and, social media clicks and likes define our progress, and more so focus on building deeper connections with the ones that do vibe with us and that do like us, and use that to continue growing. So, yeah, I think that's what I have to say. I don't know. Any of you guys want to speak from your heart?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said about trying to connect with our fan base. I think that's a really big item of importance for us. I think at least our goal that we've kind of been discussing a lot lately is really just to continue to grow our, the people that you would consider maybe like a diehard fan or something like that, but just really getting engaged with the people that are interested in us as a band and our music, and just doing things like what we're doing right now. I mean, you commented on our social media page, and that's the kind of things we want. We want people engaged, and we want to show that we're interested in what they're doing as well too. So just being able to build that up, and then I think some things you can expect from us in the future is just we just want to continue putting out good stuff, good quality songs. And like Sanket said, we've slowed down a little bit. We're not really trying to keep that pace. I think for a while we had this mindset of we need to put a single out every 2 months or so, and we were really pushing it with our producer to get things recorded and mastered and mixed and everything in time for those releases. And I think we're just at a slower pace now, and we can think a little bit harder about what we're doing. And I'm interested to see how it affects our songwriting and just the style of our music. So I think that's something to look forward to for anybody that's interested in us as a band, just the next few months, seeing how everything kind of evolves with our music.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And just to kind of add to that, yeah, like Miller said, I think we're going to start to experiment more with different song structures and styles and stuff like that. And hopefully that'll lead us in new and interesting directions. And in addition, I think one of the things that we had planned for earlier on is, our name is Highrise Nomad, and we are influenced by our environments being from different places in the world and in the US. And so one of the ideas that we want to do in the future, maybe it's not immediate future, but something that you can probably look out for is, creating an EP or a set of songs that are kind of based around a specific area or location. So, doing something more industrial and poppy, and it's, something that we are influenced from in New York City, let's say, and then doing something a little bit more stripped down and, calling it Sedona, Arizona, or something like that. And so we want to challenge ourselves in that way too, really focus on what makes a genre of a particular area, and, try and create it ourselves, and be influenced by it in the songwriting process.
Sounds good, guys. So that's about all I have for you. You want to tell everyone where they can engage with you, where they can find your music, stream it, download it, social media, and all that?
Sure. You can find us anywhere: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all, that website /Highrise Nomad. Feel free to give us a like, follow, subscribe on Spotify as well. And we're found on all streaming platforms as well. But yeah, if you find what you like and you want to give us a comment or a shout out, let us know. We're happy to talk back with you. And maybe even, if any other podcasters are listening up, we'd love to join you and have a conversation with you as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your football Sundays to come and chat with me this afternoon. Really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining.
No worries.